I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're breaking down everything you need to know about Hillary Clinton's February 2026 deposition on her role in the Epstein files.
But I think we have a very important interest and curiosity about what specifically the co-conspirators had a role in all this, right?
The procedural circus and political theater.
Chappaqua today, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is sitting for a high-profile deposition as part of the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The proceedings, however, were put on hold for a short time today after a photo of the former First Lady from inside the room was leaked, and Mrs. Clinton demanded that the proceedings be made public and open to reporters.
The headline on February 26, 2026 wasn't a breakthrough, but a security breach. Less than an hour into the session at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center, the deposition was halted. Representative Lauren Boebert, a Republican from Colorado, had allegedly snapped a photo of Hillary Clinton and sent it to influencer Benny Johnson, who posted it to X with the caption, quote, "Clinton does not look happy." Boebert later mockingly told reporters she simply, quote, "admired Clinton's blue suit" and wanted to share it.
Representative Boebert, can you talk to us about why you sent that picture?
I just returned to my hotel room and installed the BleachBit software and took a camera to my iPad. So I guess in regards to any photos, I do not recall.
You don't remember sending the picture of Clinton?
Who's the kid?
By leaking a private proceeding for a social media stunt, the committee handed Clinton the evidence she needed to argue the probe prioritized performative optics over justice for Epstein's victims. Her opening statement, released simultaneously on social media, set the tone for the day. She blasted the inquiry as a, quote, abdication of duty and a, quote, partisan exercise designed to distract from the 2026 election cycle.
Online, no comment yet from Republican leadership, Democrats saying that violated committee rules. Again, this is expected to go about another hour or so. A videotape of the proceeding and then a transcript is scheduled to be released at some point. It is unclear when. And of course, former President Bill Clinton will appear here tomorrow.
The Ask My Husband wall.
I would just say one of the things I learned today is if you really have specific questions about the Clinton Global Initiative or the relationship between the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, you got to ask Bill Clinton.
That's a great point. The number of times that she said, "I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband," was more than a dozen.
Though Hillary was in the chair for nearly 7 hours, the shadow of her husband, former President Bill Clinton, dominated the room. Chairman James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky, confirmed to a crush of national media that the former Secretary of State deferred to her husband more than a dozen times. Her repeated refrain, quote, "You'll have to ask my husband," became the defining motif of the day. This strategy effectively turned Hillary into a defensive buffer. Since her name is virtually absent from the Lolita Express flight logs, she was a legal dead end for investigators.
It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself. We had asked for that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking.
Comer noted that the list of questions for Bill's February 27th deposition grew significantly based on her deflections. By the time she left the building, the narrative was clear. Hillary was merely the opening act for the former president, who faced far more scrutiny regarding the 27 documented flights found in the original Epstein files.
I don't want to disclose too much of what was said, but most of the questions that we asked about the Clinton Global Initiative, which were very specific questions, some of them were backed by emails and other documents that have been released by the Department of Justice. She said that she was a senator and you would have to ask her husband that tomorrow. So we have a lot of questions for her husband tomorrow, and I'm confident that deposition will last even longer than this one.
Conspiracies versus counter targets.
It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet.
The deposition took a bizarre turn when the questioning drifted into what Clinton called, quote, quite unusual territory. She told reporters that she was grilled on UFOs, contextualized by recent Trump-era declassification efforts, and the debunked Pizzagate conspiracy theory. Clinton slammed these inquiries as, quote, vile, bogus conspiracy theories that had no place in a serious investigation. Ranking Member Robert Garcia, a Democrat from California, emerged from the closed-door session to echo her frustration, labeling the GOP's focus a, quote, fever dream.
Let me just add that as it relates to Secretary Clinton, who's here today, she has been very clear. She's never met Jeffrey Epstein. We have no evidence of her having any interactions with Mr. Epstein. And so I think that's important to note as we walk into this deposition.
Garcia used the moment to pivot, arguing that by subpoenaing a former president, the committee had set a, quote, new precedent. He demanded that President Donald Trump be deposed immediately to answer for his own documented ties to Epstein. This turned the hearing into a partisan proxy war, with each side accusing the other of weaponizing the investigation to protect their own leaders.
President Trump has answered hundreds, if not thousands, of questions from you all about Epstein. And I think he's been very transparent in releasing the documents. We expect hopefully more documents to come in. We're still assessing the 3 million plus documents that we have.
The dead end.
I think it is fair to say that the vast majority of people who had contact with him before his criminal pleas in 2008 were like most people. They did not know what he was doing. And I think that that is exactly what my husband will testify to tomorrow.
Despite the months of tension and the threat of criminal contempt, the substantive results were a total stalemate. Clinton's testimony was a wall of consistent denials. When pressed on Ghislaine Maxwell, Clinton provided a unique detail to minimize their connection. She testified that Maxwell attended Chelsea Clinton's 2010 wedding only as a +1 to a guest, not as a personal invitee.
Why was Ghislaine Maxwell invited to your daughter Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted before that.
She came as the +1, the guest of someone who was invited.
This distinction was critical in framing their relationship as that of a, quote, casual acquaintance rather than a confidant. For a session built on years of public speculation and the January 2026 document releases, the total lack of smoking guns left the committee with zero new evidence of criminal activity, effectively boxing in the investigation to Hillary Clinton's stated lack of personal knowledge.
The Democratic lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee have already made clear they've come out and spoken with reporters and essentially said that they have yet to learn anything new from the former Secretary of State about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and their crimes, saying that, somebody that hasn't actually ever met Jeffrey Epstein can't possibly give us the information that we are looking for that is new, that could help our investigation into Epstein.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. The big picture: high impact, low yield.
Saying, quote, if this committee is serious about learning the truth about Epstein's trafficking crimes, it would not rely on press gaggles to get answers from our current president on his involvement. It would ask him directly under oath about the tens of thousands of times he shows up in the Epstein files.
The ultimate takeaway from the February 2026 Chappaqua depositions is the staggering mismatch between the media circus and the factual payoff. It was an historic collision. A former First Lady, Secretary of State, and Democratic presidential nominee compelled to testify about the century's most toxic scandal, yet it produced almost no verifiable new data.
There's something about this administration's attitude toward this, which I think really leads us to conclude they have something to hide. We don't. We have been willing to say whatever we know. We've even done it under oath.
The story was less about Epstein's crimes and more what it revealed about modern oversight. Between the Boebert photo leak, the UFO questions, and the Ask My Husband refrains, the week served as a case study in how investigative rigor is often sacrificed for public spectacle. For the public, the takeaway was clear. In 2026, the investigation's media presence has become the only measurable output, while the truth remains buried under layers of partisan messaging and procedural drama.
So we're seeing accountability, but we have a desire to see a lot more accountability. We want to get the answers, and hopefully the next 2 days will be a step in the right direction on our investigation.
Which moment from the deposition shocked you the most? Be sure to let us know in the comments.